Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Truth Talk. There is a lot going on with our country today, and whether you're Democratic or Republican, it's been the first week of a new presidency. He's done a lot of executive orders, he's initiating a lot of his own protocols and agenda, and this country is going to go in a new direction as it does with any new president. So today we have a discussion about the new America under this presidency and some updates on COVID that I just have a couple of questions about. Joining me today is Brandy. Hello, Brandy.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I have been better. How are you? I love how we always match. We do not talk color coordination, but we
We
always
don't.
just match. It's just, it's a connection of the Holy Spirit, I think.
Gotta be.
Last week we had Bill and not Brandy, and this week we have Brandy and no Bill. Um, one day we'll get back to Brandy and Bill. But what
Right.
we do have, Brandy, is those watching, and we invite you, if you're watching, to join the chat. So you can help direct our conversation. You can even challenge us to do a new topic for next week, and we will take that challenge. Right, Brandy?
We sure will.
I have a couple of things I have in the furnace of my mind that I want to go into going into different, future weeks. I want to talk about the prison system in the future weeks. I want to talk about, is there rehabilitation? Is a life sentence? And I want to talk about death row. I want to talk about young people at 15, 13 sentenced to a life in prison. It's been on me for a couple of weeks now. I just want to go there. I want to talk about prison ministries. Does it affect anything? And what it does. I also want to talk about the Green Plan. You know about the Green Plan, Joe Biden's Green Plan? I want to talk about that probably next week. We'll probably just stay with this course for a week and talk about the Green Plan. It's the agenda that's going to help us in our country get from oil to natural and to do, to go green, to make everything where it's more solar than it is carbon printing. I'm not really
Okay.
sure if I'm saying that right, but I'm very curious about the Green Plan. But today, what are we going to talk about, Brandy?
President Biden's agenda, executive orders, 31st, 3 days.
We're going to talk about that. I'm going to tell you what. Okay, so you said it. President Biden, like every other president, has done executive orders when he gets into office. But he did 30 executive offices right off the bat. And I happen to have them here. Of course. I have them all sitting right here. And you know what I find interesting is because he really is talking about the things that concern the American people in these 30 executive orders. There's 14 COVID orders. There's 4 economic orders, 2 environmental, 2 equity, and equity means equal rights. It's about stopping racism. 5 immigration, 1 ethics, 1 regulation, and 1 census. So if you look at what he did his first time in, he went and hit COVID hard, he hit immigration hard, and he hit the economy hard. And that's what we are been talking about for the last year, are those things. So I applaud him in doing that. Do you know any of the executive orders on the top of your head that you want to talk about? I want to highlight just a couple. We're not going to go over all 30. And if you're listening and you have any questions about these, or you want to talk about a specific executive order, please chime in. Our chat is working today, and we'd love to hear from you.
I'll say I like the one about helping people that are unemployed that did not get the stimulus check, and something else. I think it's helping them with food assistance.
Yeah, he increased the SNAP allowance and the ability for people who did not get yeah, he increased the SNAP allowance, which is the food stamp program of today. It's SNAP. He made that more available to people. He's making sure that if you didn't, people did not get stimulus checks. Like everybody thinks that stimulus checks is just what everybody got, but not everybody got them. If you closed your bank account from your last IRS check, it didn't go to you. You didn't go to your new bank account. If you moved, it didn't go to you. So there's and a lot of people who, because of COVID, lost their housing. They're sleeping on couches or they're homeless. They're not getting that stimulus check because I've talked to a couple of people here in LA on the streets, and their banks have been closed since they ran out of money. So if your bank's been closed, you're not so the people that needed it didn't get it. It's really a sad thing. So I really applaud President Biden for saying, you know what, there are actually acknowledging that there's people who just are falling behind and falling in the cracks, and food is something that, you know, if you can give people food, they might not resort to being a thief, you know, or breaking and entering. You know, that you're giving them something to keep them from becoming what they never would have become in the first place. So I do applaud that. And just reminds me of a friend of mine. She's in South Carolina. I won't say her name just because, but she did say I could share this opinion. But she didn't say I could share it on Facebook. So I'm not going to say her name. But what I love about her and her family, they received the stimulus checks. And they're doing okay, being able to take care of each other and one another. Her family has extensively been affected by COVID virus as far as people getting it and getting sick. But with the extra stimulus check that they didn't necessarily need for food and to get by, they used it to hire people who are devastated financially and to do odd jobs, to do things around. And so they gave that stimulus check to someone else. And really, when I say odd jobs, it's like, all right, if you cut some bushes, you'll get $600. It wasn't a free all, but it was, hey, if you help in the little bit of work we have maybe around here, or, you know, something that they could do in ministry or something, they just gave their stimulus checks away. And I think that that's a good thing for those of you listening that are getting the money and you don't need the money. Instead of buying a new TV, pass it along to someone that needs it, you know? So I thought that was really generous. And it could be someone you know, doesn't have to be a stranger off the street. It could be someone you know that is struggling, that they're not going to take a handout from you, but they'll take a payment. You know, I thought that was amazing. So I do like that. The other thing, I'll tell you one I want to talk about, because you know, I don't get it. It says that, do you have them there too? Are you looking at them, Brandy?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's 2 down. I don't know what list you're looking at, but this is from CNN Politics.
That's where I am.
Okay. So 2 down from the food is, he directs FEMA to expand reimbursement to states to fully cover the cost for National Guard personnel and emergency supplies. Now, this is in relationship to the coronavirus. What cost has there been, past tense, with National Guard and coronavirus? See, I don't know of any. Do you know of any past tense?
What does National Guard go out for?
National Guard is a defense on U.S. soil. It's our internal U.S. soil defense system. So from what I know, and what I've tried to find this, and I haven't been able to find it, regarding to coronavirus, they have not been deployed on American soil.
I think so. I didn't.
So there is no expenses to be reimbursed. However, this is where I think it segues. And my daughter said, "Oh my gosh, Mom," but I just have this. I think it segues because there is talk. You know, Joe Biden has a 1.5 million vaccines a day goal, right?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so this is his goal: 1.5 million vaccinated American citizens per day. That's his goal for the first 100 days of his presidency. It is a steep goal, but he is confident. I've watched him say it over and over again. He's confident that this is doable. So how is this doable when did they start vaccines? Like a month ago, right? People are getting their second doses. So about 3 weeks to a month ago, there's only been 120 million altogether, or 170 million. So he wants 1.5 a day, when in 3 weeks or so, we haven't been able to get to 2 million. So how does that happen? How does he confidently come out and say this is going to happen? Well, if you look at his executive order, National Guard is going to be reimbursed state to state for relationship to coronavirus. Does that mean that he is going to initiate the National Guard to help with the coronavirus vaccinations?
That's possible.
I think it's possible. And I think you can look at it both ways. And, I like to look at things both ways. You could look at it as there's not enough medical personnel to actually do 1.5 million vaccinations. So they got to get other personnel to inoculate or vaccinate the masses.
Mm-hmm.
But do you really think National Guard people are going to put, you think anyone's going to go up and let a National Guard man just shoot them in the arm? I don't see that happening. So what's the other purpose of this? How do you get 1.5 million people to start being vaccinated in each day? And how does the National Guard play a role in that? There's a question, because it obviously plays a role because it's one of his executive orders. So I don't know the answer to that, but I'm curious to watch and see what unfolds with those two.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree, because it's very vague, which is normal for our government. So it's very vague. So yeah, we'll have to watch it and kind of watch it unfold. Because only thing I've ever known the National Guard to do was like in a storm, like when the storm comes, and then they have to take supplies for the emergency, recovery and stuff like that. So it's like pre-planning for a storm that is coming that we don't know about.
Exactly. That's what I see in this. And you also have the next executive order is to direct FEMA to create community vaccination centers. So you might need to man those community vaccination centers with the National Guard for whatever reason. So I think that you're looking at all this and you can kind of see where he's thinking and where he wants to go. That there's going to be a massive rollout of vaccination centers, of vaccination protocol somehow. I don't know how. The average right now is 4 out of 10 citizens are choosing not to be vaccinated. That's kind of the average that they're putting out there right now. So how do you need, in order for an immunization to get herd immunity, which is what they're trying to get, is herd immunity, you have to vaccinate 83 to 94% of the population. So that's the goal. How do you get that if 4 out of 10 people are saying no, thank you?
Well, you know how they're gonna get it. They're gonna make it illegal. Like certain things are gonna become, you can't come in here unless you're vaccinated. Grocery stores, hospitals, airports. I think it's gonna become, if we don't do it willingly, then we'll do it unwillingly.
I think, yeah. Do you have a problem with that?
I do.
Do you have a problem with that?
I do.
The other thing is, see, some of this I think should already been happening. Like, I don't understand why you had to do an executive order. But like, to provide safe reopening and operating of schools and child cares. Weren't we already trying to do that? Why is that an executive order? I don't understand that. Weren't we trying already to do that? Does he have to Um, and I don't know this. I wish Bill was here. I was going to ask him, does the new president have to write executive orders on things that's already happening just because it wasn't his? So now he has to own it. So I'm thinking some of this might be that, but I'm not sure. I expected Bill to be here and he would know that question. um, because some is like, aren't they already doing this? You know? But I find it interesting that you talked about mandating it. Well, now, in order to come into the country, if you're in another country, President Biden has said that you have to have a 72-hour COVID negative test, proof of it, even if you're an American citizen, to come back into the country. So if you left the country last week, say you went to Italy for a family reunion or something, you can't come back in the country without a 72-hour COVID. Like within 72 hours, you have to have proof that you are negative to come back in. Like that's now. That is now. It's happening. Can't do it. So my thing is, where are you gonna get those COVID tests?
Right.
And where are you gonna get the results within 3 days?
Right.
Like
And
not
then
everybody
should you
gets a rapid
plan,
test.
and you have to put that into your travel plans for your flight back. So where
Yeah.
I might have flown back on a Monday, now I have to add in 3 extra days to stay here, 3 extra days of a hotel or
Yep.
wherever I'm staying, Airbnb or whatever. So now I got to extend a trip that might have been 3 days, now has to be 6 days, which is more money.
Or you get tested as soon as you land. Like as soon as you land, you get tested so that
that's
by
a,
the time you get out, you should have. But what if the test doesn't come back in 3 days? Then you're stuck, and then you miss your airplane. Are they gonna extend the airlines? Gonna extend your ticket because you don't have it back in 3 days?
right.
See, I think it's so messy. But I think it's going to wind up being that app that we talked about a couple of months ago. You remember
Mhm.
that app? I don't even think I still have the graphics on here, but let me see if I do. That yeah, I took it off. But that app we talked about that showed that you were COVID positive or negative. And I think that's the only way to really do it is, hey, I've been screened, I'm good. Because you think everybody's going to look at a piece of paper. Okay, let me unfold the piece of paper to show you thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. Like LAX, I can't imagine them adding this to the screening process quickly. Like, but I think you're right. I think in doing it, how do I say it? With that much distance to the average person, we're going to get used to it.
Yeah.
Just like we got used to the forehead thermometer. It's no big deal anymore. We're going to get used to hearing, oh, well, I have to get tested before I do this. I have to get tested before I do that. And then, well, if you get vaccinated, you don't have to get tested. Oh,
Right.
really? I could just get vaccinated one time. I don't have to do. Yes. So then it'll be a vaccination proof instead of a
Right.
testing proof. Do you think that will go off all right in our country?
Not at all. Not at
I'm
all.
you're pro democratic, right?
I would say
Kind of.
so.
And
Yeah.
it's not setting right with you. That's why I'm kind of like, wow, okay. Because when I say no, and people look at me sideways, like, that's because you're a liberal. Um, but it's not. It's because we're American. Like you and I are both just American, and we're used to our freedoms. We're
Right.
used to having the right to decide what to do with our body and having the freedom to go here and there, knowing that it's within each of us as citizens of this country to be responsible not to infect people with disease. If we know we're sick, we stay home, right?
Hmm.
If you have to go out, you wear a mask, you sanitize, you got to do what you got to do. But we don't just have our freedoms taken away to prevent us. There was something else I wanted to say about that. Where is it? Can we segue a minute? Talking about
Absolutely.
COVID. I had to segue. So here we are, COVID. President Biden has 14 COVID executive orders right off the bat. He has initiated travel bans with other countries. He's initiated a mask mandate on any federal property, right? So he's amping. Where did that happen? Hold on a minute. My paper is pushing buttons. There we go. So he's amping the COVID war, which I applaud him to do that. I'm not saying anything
Mhm.
against it. But at the same time, we have states, California, New York, saying, hey, we can loosen the restrictions because, we're good now. How do we equal that? How do we equal more mask mandates, more, restrictions on coming in and going out of the country? Schools are still closed. Hospitals are still supposedly overrun. ICUs are still full. But guess what? All of a sudden, New York and California, you can operate. You can now have meetings of 3 households together. You can now go and eat outdoors, 50% capacity. New York is even having what's called Restaurant Week, and Governor Cuomo supports Restaurant Week, saying that we got to get back out there. We got to get the economy. How do you reckon? Is it just me, or is it crazy that all of a sudden, new president, let's open up the economy, and COVID's not a problem?
No, I mean, I think it's still absolutely a problem. I think that what they're hoping for is the more people get vaccinated, wear their masks, that it starts to go away. But I personally thought that they were just going to let everybody stay home until we could see if it was working or not. But they're trying to like bridge the gap. Like it's almost like we're hoping for healing. We're hoping that it's healing our country, and just we're going to just go on a wing and a prayer because everybody's tired of staying at home.
I think that's a simple way to put it. I think Governor Newsom here in California was about to be kicked out. He needs 1.5 signatures to recall him. He's at 1.1
Ah,
million signatures. It's almost guaranteed that they'll make the signatures to recall him. So he opens up the gates. Let's make the people
of
happy.
course. Yeah, now that
Governor,
I'm not local, so that I didn't know that. So yeah, he's trying to get votes.
he's trying to make people happy so they don't get that 1.5 million signatures to recall him. Governor Cuomo in New York, well, he was under the gun about doing things and personally and not adhering so strict to the rules he put on his people. So he was under the gun about the restrictions. And now he's supporting Restaurant Week where people can go and pick up food and open up all the restaurants and outdoor restrictions are lifted. I just find it. Here's the thing. When people get vaccinated, you shed that virus, okay? So you get the little bit of whatever virus in there, you shed it. Wherever you go, you are shedding that virus on your skin cells. You are more contagious after vaccination for a period of a certain, like, 2 weeks or something like that, than
Right.
ever. So you're going to get 1.1 million people vaccinated at the same time you're going to open up the doors. Is it just me? To me, it should be like, okay, let's get the vaccination and close the doors for 2 weeks solid. Let's see if
Right.
herd immunity is going to kick in and then open up the gates. Here in Los Angeles, this is today. There were 6,285 new cases and 43 new deaths. In California, 19,258 new cases, 296 deaths. But we're opening up the doors.
That's crazy.
New York, 6,308 new cases, 111 deaths, but they opened up their doors. They're saying statistically, where we were right around Christmas time, we are worse than we were then. So if it demanded lockup then, why are we opening it up now?
Right.
See, I think part of it has to do with new presidency. Let's make people happy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all, like we have always said, there's a political aspect to this. And I don't understand how people Yes, I'm happy places will be open. I would, oh my goodness, I would love to go eat somewhere other than my kitchen, or my living room. I would love to eat somewhere else. Um, but there's got to be an awareness. Why are people, or are people, Brandy, aware that these facts don't match up? Like there's a political agenda here unfolding. Is it just that we can't do anything about it? So why talk about it?
Well, I don't think people really connect the dots anymore. It's just like full speed ahead all the time. It's just go to the next thing. And like I said, and let me rewind. I want to say, isn't your state the same state that didn't have enough ambulances to send people, and they were going to have to stay home even if you had a heart attack? Don't call
Yep.
us, we'll call you.
Yep.
Um, wasn't that like 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Oh yeah. That the EMS workers had to decide if you lived or died. Yes. Yes, because they didn't have enough room. And from what I understand, I mean, I had a conversation with someone, today's Tuesday, Friday or Saturday. And she said that, she mentioned a couple of hospitals here and said that they're overrun. They're still past max capacity for ICU. They don't have enough people, but they just opened up the doors. See, it doesn't make sense to me.
It
It
doesn't.
makes no sense that you're saying you care about American people, but because your governors are under war from the American people, let's just open up the doors. And for me, I'm not one that they had a right to close the doors in the first place. I don't believe in that. I don't think that they had the right to close the doors fully like they did and cause people to lose everything and the government not care about it. But I also don't think, to me, it's more about following what they're saying and what they're doing and realizing that it's not adding up logically. It makes no sense that we were in such a lockdown for a year, going
Right.
on a year. People lost everything, like everything. There's this one couple I read about here in California. They've owned their company for 7 years. It was their dream. And they just sold it yesterday or the day before.
Oh,
And now they're allowed to open. Like that's,
that's
they just,
crushing.
yeah, that's crushing. Like if they had just waited one day, but and in the article it said they looked at all the stats. They saw this wasn't going to go away anyway, and they didn't want their business to go down, so they sold it to someone who can keep it going. But they don't own
Yeah.
it anymore, and because nothing, it doesn't make sense that all of a sudden we're open.
Right.
It doesn't make sense that you just switch presidency and COVID's not a problem anymore, but the president says it's even more of a problem because he's underlying all these executive orders to protect us from it. So who's
Right.
talking? It's like the heads, and
That's exactly what's happening.
it's insane. It's just insane. And if anybody wants to chime in, feel free to chime in because numbers do lie, but I'm going to listen to the numbers they give me because it's their numbers. Um, Also, so President Biden wants to open up schools in the first 100 days of his presidency. I want to get off COVID in a second. How do you know that COVID's not going to be a problem in the next 100 days in order to
You
open
don't.
up the schools? So how do you
You
say
don't.
that?
I don't know. I don't. I guess. I mean, for me, I thought we would wait till the numbers showed a significant decrease before we started sending our kids back to school.
Isn't that what we were waiting for, the numbers to decrease all across the board to do anything? But now it seems like everything's on a timetable.
Right.
Oh, 100 days for this amount every day. It doesn't, what happened to precaution and safety and
Right.
all of that? Now it's just a number game. Let's have a
Right.
goal and let's achieve it. But that concerns me that you're going to say within 100 days kids will be back in school, but you
Right.
don't know anything about what's happening in the virus world. You have new variants every day coming out almost. So in 100 days, I mean, we've already done this for what, 300 days maybe? And you're going to tell me
Yeah,
it's going to be over in 100 days? We're going to be able to go back to normal in 100 days or keep our kids safe in schools for 100 days?
no, I
I
don't.
don't see how you can say that. I don't understand it. I don't understand it, Brandy.
Unless there's a hidden agenda that we don't know about.
Something has to be going, you know. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what the secret is, but there has to be a secret. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely, because you're putting too many lives at risk. I mean, children. I mean, like there's I think it's a little boy got so sick he ended up having to get his leg amputated.
Oh my gosh.
Coronavirus, and he's only 9, 8 or 9. So for me, it just seems like nobody's taking into consideration. These are real people with real lives, and we're putting them to at risk by continuing to open up all of these things that we don't really have. We've been in homeschool for almost a year now. Why not
Mhm.
just leave it there? Why not just
At
leave it
least
and
for
let
the
the
end of the
whole year
year.
pass?
Yes.
um Spring break is coming, and then but next thing we know, it'll be summer again. Let it at least go through the summer again before you, just to me, opening up school, especially in the wintertime. So they're already fighting the cold.
Mhm.
And well, where we are, we get winter.
Yes.
So, but just, fighting the weather and, just the regular ailments of children. I said children are already sickly, like they're already fighting all the germs in the classroom. So you're
Yes.
gonna send them back with a pandemic, a deadly pandemic, when they're already touching each other. And it just seems like too much. Nobody's really considering these are real people with real lives who go back to real families. So those kids are going to be in contact with other kids who have families. It just doesn't seem like nobody's thinking about all the
No.
contact that kids make amongst other kids. They don't really understand. Like, I went to go see my niece. First thing she did was run up to me. She doesn't care about social distancing. She don't care. She don't care about that. They don't know what's going on. So for us to throw them back in society and go, okay, they're gonna think everything's okay. They're gonna see
Yes,
their
yeah.
friends. Guess what they're gonna do?
Hug.
Mask and all. I mean, they're probably gonna have their mask on, but they're gonna want to run up to them and
Yep.
hug them. And then you got
Yep.
some teacher that's gonna have to say, no, don't touch each other. Stop touching. Stop hugging. This what we're back to school, but we're not back to normal. They're not gonna
Yep.
understand that.
They're not going to understand that, and rightly so. But you're right. I you talk about they're not real people. Like these numbers are people, and I think it's so sad that on both sides of the fence, it doesn't matter where you are politically,
Right.
they're using people for their agendas. I'm not one. Now, I understand the sentiment of President Biden at the inauguration saying, honor those, do not forget those who have died from COVID. But for
Mhm.
me, as someone who experienced that, it was an insult to my family because it was a political op. It was an op-ed. It was just something to be seen, something to be done for that moment. Why do I say that? Because what did he do previously for
Nothing.
the people who have died? Absolutely nothing. So, okay, on your inauguration, you want to remember my sister? You want to remember my 11 other family members who have died? No, you don't get to do that because you did nothing for them when they were in the worst part of their life. Especially my sister, she shouldn't have died. She was part of those in New York that were left to die because they didn't understand COVID and
Mm.
moved from a nursing home to a nursing home just to put them somewhere. And so she was in that. So you don't, it just, I don't understand it. They are real people. And we shouldn't play with these people's lives. When you can say, oh, we're going to do this in a number of days, you're not thinking about the people.
No.
You're literally thinking about your own agenda and marking a goal and making it done. And I think that's something we need to be cautious about. We need to be really cautious about what's happening. We need to be aware of it. What else do you want to talk about, Brandy? Because I need to go on another tangent on something else. Immigration. Want to talk about immigration?
Yeah, let's talk about immigration.
All right, let's talk about immigration. So, President Biden, let's see, on some of these executive orders. He
stopped the wall from being built.
Yes, he did. He stopped the funding for the wall. The wall is no longer going to be built. Did the wall ever have an impact anyway yet?
I don't really think so. Did the children ever get returned to their families?
See, okay. Thank you. That is what I want to know. If you're going to make an executive order regarding immigration, where's the order that the children go back to their families and get out of these prison camps? Where's that order?
Yeah.
You know, okay, so you're not deporting them for 100 days. What's this 100-day thing? I didn't realize it until just now. There's a common theme of 100 days. They're not going to be deported for 100 days. But you're not reuniting them with their family either. What is that about?
I think that the 100 days gets us out of the first quarter of the year. I do know that.
Oh, it's a number game. See? A number game again. The immigration deportation status will go down. The number of new immigration cases will go down. The number, first 100 days, you open up business, economy is going to go up. COVID cases will go down because people are going about their business. They're not concentrating on getting tested anymore. So COVID tests will go down. Oh, Brandy.
Yeah, that gets us out of the first quarter.
Wow. So the quarterly numbers for this new presidency will be very good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even the mask ordinance, when he said wear a mask for 100 days, we've been wearing a mask for 300 days. I mean,
what? I'm like, wait a minute. We didn't have to wear a mask this whole year? Wait, because he literally says he urges states and local governments to do the same, which is wear a mask for 100 days.
I mean, I know there were people fighting against it. There were people, say, I don't want to wear it. And he, made it a thing, like take pictures on your social media, show that you're wearing your mask every day. Encourage your friends to wear theirs. Me and all my friends, we still wear ours, like when we go places. So I've never been in the crew who was like, I'm not wearing this. I'm not pushing against a brick, even whether you believe in the mask or not. I wear it for those who may be offended that I don't have it on. I live alone. I eat alone. I'm always alone, but I heard I could be asymptomatic. So I'm going to wear it anyway so that someone else can feel safe. And I think some people just want that much freedom where they don't want to feel confined, and I don't want to wear the mask. So whatever, I'm just going to keep wearing it until they say we don't have any more, no more cases and no more symptoms. But he has the 100-day mask ordinance so that people can wear a mask for 100 days straight. I don't go anywhere for 100 days straight, literally.
But he's still only asking Americans to wear a mask for 100 days. It's not a mandate. He's just asking, hey, come on, everybody. But I'm like, wait a minute. Are you so out of touch that you don't realize we're already wearing masks? Like, I don't understand. I mean, here in California, if you don't wear a mask, you're not going to go into a store. You're not going into any establishment, post office, DMV, a store. You're not going anywhere. So it's not something you could urge us to do. Our government here has said either you do it or you just stay your butt at home. Like, that's as simple as it is. So I find that really, like,
all the establishments I go to, like restaurants, grocery store, I mean, the sign is up and for I'll say the most part. The only place I've gone where I saw somebody didn't have one on was a gas station, and maybe because it's a quick exchange, you're in and out, but they didn't say anything to them. But anywhere else I go, and for those watching, I'm in South Carolina, just in case you don't know. And so this always posted. I went in a store, and it was like a pizza place, a restaurant. And the guy came in behind me. He didn't have on the mask. The lady said, "We can't serve you." She didn't say maybe. She said, "We can't serve you." She didn't say, she wasn't rude about it. She was just like, "We can't serve you if you don't have on a mask." They all have on a mask. Now, I have been to a store that said mask is mandatory, and none of the employees had on a mask. And I'm like, but I thought the mask was mandatory. And the girl was like, "I get tired of wearing it all the time." And
Well, it seems that things have frozen up. I don't know what's going on with that. We'll get Brandy back. Let's see, there she is. She's back with us.
if you're gonna make all the people wear a mask, then you should wear one too. But the guy, he left, and somebody outside gave him a mask so that he could come, because he was fussing. "I don't have a mask. I forgot my mask at home. I don't want to go buy a mask because I'm not gonna be here that long." And so somebody out ran to their car and got him one, and so he was able to still go in to order his pizza. And so I think it's just a matter of, it's been a while. We're not used to this.
Yeah.
We've been doing this since what, late February, early
Yeah.
March.
Yep. Something like that.
We tired.
Like, it's like I'm tired of being alone. I just got to the point, literally this week. It's like I am really tired. I have not seen a friend in 10 months. I've not seen people. Well, obviously I think the internet's on my side. I think it's on my side, breaking down for some reason. Who knows? Brandy, we have had so much trouble with our internet in the past couple of weeks. And here, if the wind blows, our internet goes out. So it's windy. So I apologize for that. But back to immigration. So I do applaud him. He extended the DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. I do agree with that. I don't think DACA should have ever been stopped. But he said, okay, so this says 11 million illegal immigrants to become permanent U.S. residents and give them the right to pursue citizenship after an 8-year wait. Well, if you're a permanent resident, how are you a permanent resident without U.S. citizenship? I don't know how that works. I thought you got residency once you became a citizen. I don't know how that works. However, in Texas, they challenged this. The Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, he challenged this and said, "You know what? I don't agree with it. You can't stop us from deporting people that's already been given the due process of the law," right? Because it's kind of like you have the president saying, I probably shouldn't say this, but say that you say, okay, everybody that is a nonviolent offender of the court system that's going to prison, stop it. I don't want them in prison anymore. So just let them go because they're nonviolent offenders, right? You can't do that. They went through the due process of the law, whether it be trial or judge adjudication. They went through the process of the law. They were found that they needed to go to jail, right?
Right.
How can you just undo that? And for this, it's like these people have gone through the process of the law and been found that they need to be deported based on the law. And the president just said, nope, we're not going to do it.
I think what we're finding out is a lot of things that were written and sealed, and the deal was sealed, and that was the way it was supposed to be forever and ever, amen, is not. Somebody can change it. We can't.
But if they want to, they could just
But
right now just
they
change
can
it.
just make the change. And we didn't know that, for years. We thought this is the way it is, this is the way it's going to be. It can never be changed. And our government is coming in saying, guess what? We can change it. You know what? I cannot go. I look back in all the history books, I've never found a place where the children did not go to school. You mean we could have been doing this working from home? I could have worked from home all along, all the time. So they're retracting a bunch of statements. And I think that maybe what they're finding out also is that some of those nonviolent offenders should not have. I'm glad we're going to talk about prison and
Prison
prison
system.
reform and stuff. Nonviolent offenders, drug dealers get 25 years, where people who committed murder got 10. There's that is
Well,
that. So while I do agree with, if they've already been processed, how can we go back and turn around and say, well, you know what, we changed our mind? Some of it probably may be fair. But to Texas, if he's saying, you know what, we got their ticket to go back is already prepared, and you're
yeah,
coming saying, hey, don't send them. Now, I would say, so he's basically trying to be retroactive. I would say,
right.
well, we're not going to be retroactive, but we'll start from today. And of
Yeah,
course, the people like your friend who's like, you know what? I just sold my business yesterday. I wish I'd have known
right.
yesterday. Then I could
You
have made another decision.
can't go back.
So you can't, right? You can't go back. We can only go forward. So um, I'm kind of probably on the fence when it comes to going backwards and forgiving the deeds that have already been done, especially if it was like in the last year where they did their due process,
Hmm.
when everything has kind of been hazy and fuzzy, and it's up and down, and we don't know what's right or what's wrong. Like, they're recreating the wheel at this point. Like, they're
Yeah,
they're saying, you know what? I know it used to be like this, but it's going to be like this now. This is going to be the new normal, if we ever had a normal. But
but
this is going to be the new normal.
if you go back, listen, it says illegal, 11 million illegal immigrants. Do we not pay attention to that word illegal anymore unless it's a drug dealer?
Right.
I mean, what's illegal anymore? Now illegal is just it's a process of an opinion, you
Right.
know? It could be illegal, but we can excuse it when we want to. I don't
Right.
understand that. Now, and I'm not for, listen, for me, about immigration, if your family has been here for 7 generations and you have been law-abiding citizens and you're working and you're doing everything that you can just to be a
Right.
positive influence in your community, even if you're just being a homebody, but you're working, you're keeping your head like every other citizen of America, I am for you staying here. But if you have come here and you have not taken that mindset, and you're a criminal and you're drug trafficking, if you're doing anything illegal in America and you're not a citizen, well, you need to be
Absolutely.
kicked out, plain and
Send them on
simple.
back. Right.
Yes, send them back. I am not for those people who came here and they had children here and their children's children, and you're going to send the whole family to somewhere they've never been. That's ridiculous.
Right.
This is their home. They can probably prove that they've been a law-abiding citizen, that they have done what they could do to appreciate the opportunities in America for their family. Leave them alone, don't destroy that. But
Right.
just over across the board, hey, everybody gets permanent. I don't understand that, because
No.
like even now there's new caravans because of the talk of President Biden opening up and allowing people permanent residency. There's caravans now that are forming, heading on over here from Honduras, like they were two
Wow.
years ago. Or wasn't it like 2 years ago when you had the caravans? Guess what? They
Yeah.
have formed. It was on the news this morning. They have formed caravans in Honduras again to come on over here because the gates are open.
The
So
United States is open again.
we're open. Yes, hooray, party hardy that we're open again. And
And
what
what
are we
about
doing?
the coronavirus, them bringing it with them? What
They're not traveling by plane, so they don't need to get tested.
doesn't doesn't make sense though. So but they can come over here without their 3-day test, but you can't go out of the country and come back without your 3-day test. And I'm from here.
Yes.
That doesn't make sense.
I don't understand it.
What does make sense these days?
Nothing makes sense. If you're watching and you have a comments, please chime in. Give me and Brandy something new to talk about. We're almost over it's almost 3 o'clock, but chime in anyway. Tell us what you're thinking. But in Texas, the judge heard the case and she put a temporary restraining order on Homeland Security because she said that this order is clear, and these are quotes, clearly not in accordance with or is in excess of the authority accorded to the Attorney General. So she said, you know what, you can't. Good thought, but you can't do it. It's not within your power to do this. So she put a temporary restraining order on the stoppage of deportation. So it's a battle. It's in the courts. We'll see where that goes. Last thing I want to talk about, and we're going to leave Biden alone. But I think I've been pretty fair.
I think you have to.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Appointees. Every president picks his cabinet appointees. Biden has picked 25 appointees that I can find. 25 people that are going to run this country. Now, there's been a war against the older white male in the last couple of years from sexual problems, from mostly sexual issues coming from, Weinstein to the entertainment industry, and then to Black Lives Matter, and just the whole racism of white America. So here we have a president that has 25 appointees, and only 4 out of the 25 are old white men. That's it. He has taken on the most racially diverse and gender diverse positions ever. Chewy 788 says all males cause all males. Oh, yes. Thank you, Chewy. He's saying against all males because Bill Cosby was also a predator and was in prison. So that's right. It is all males. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that's good. It is good. We do, listen, as a female that has dealt with abuse and offenses in my life, it's very good anytime we expose predators of any kind. But is this cancellation of white America good? Like white males, good? When you have 25 appointees, 4 of them are Caucasian males. We have every other. I'm kind of like, I think it's good because on one side, I think it's very good because now we have Indian Americans, African American men, African American women. We have the first Asian woman in United States Trade Representative who's going to be dealing with China specifically. Now, is that a coincidence? I don't know. But we have, Latinos. We have the first openly gay. We have the first openly transsexual, transgender. Don't mean to offend anybody. We have so many firsts. We literally have 21 firsts put in office. And Chewy says that he voted for, I don't know if it's a he or she, but Chewy 7885 voted for Joe and likes who he has appointed. And I think that's a good message that, you know what, there are people that's not old white Caucasian, that's not traditional per se, that are qualified to run the government.
Well,
but are they qualified or are they just? Go ahead.
Do we have minutes or do we have like 2 minutes?
No, go ahead. I want you to. Okay. I want you.
So I think it's great. I know that. So many years ago, our country was run by white males, right?
Yes.
over time, and that was the population was white males were in power and control. The Caucasian women were home taking care of the children. They weren't in power. They weren't working. They didn't need to make decisions. They were home raising babies. Well, the transition of responsibility has changed. Not only the responsibility and the power, the power belongs to us all. Ultimately, I hope that everybody feels like they have a piece of the pie at this point. However, the way decisions are made and leadership, I have to come to the table to say what a Black 40-year-old female needs. You can't speak for me because you're a different nationality, you're a different age, you live in a different state. Even though we're both women, you can't speak on my behalf. So there has to be enough representation at the table to say, Brandy down in South Carolina, 40-year-old Black female, I'm speaking on her behalf. Well, if you only have white males who are, if a white male doesn't know what I'm feeling or how I what I need or my position on different things. So the 25 people should have always been different, but I just don't think they had them to pick from, because we were going through slavery, then we were going through all the things where Black people couldn't even sit at the table. So then they said, hey, y'all can come and sit at the table, but women can't come. Now they say, okay, women can come to the table, but Asians, y'all can't come. All right. So now they're saying, guess what? Transgenders, y'all can't come to the table. So guess what? They finally said, you know what? Why we keep telling people they can't come to the table but trying to make decisions on their behalf? And then they get mad because we didn't make a decision that works for them. Well, there's nobody at the table that's speaking on my behalf.
I
That's
agree.
all.
And I think that's what happened this year. I think if we want to end the show in a positive way, and Chewy is a white male, and he says, why would they not be qualified? Because they aren't white and male. And I think that's the takeaway, is that there are so many qualified people. I went through the whole 25 appointees. I read everything I could about them. Ask me a question, I can tell you about them, the positives and the negatives. And no one is perfect to be in a position. You're not going to have the perfect person in any position. But these 25 appointees, there's no one here that's just out of the blue. Oh, you know what? The only thing I can find that qualifies them is their race or gender. No, they have proven themselves in their fields to be someone that was worth being considered, and now being worth being put into an appointment by the president. And I think you're right. If one takeaway so far that I think is the most positive is that we are all now going to be represented in some area of government. And that's going to completely change the dynamics. Maybe not a lot of laws, maybe not the way the government works. We still got Congress, Senate, and the presidency, but the voices will be there.
Right.
Like you said, there's not going to, you've had the very first Black man as an administrative of environment. He's going to bring something to the table that no one has ever brought because of his experiences that have never been brought to that section of our government. And you can go on and name all of this, that, it's always, like you said, it's been one viewpoint all of these years. Now we have so many different viewpoints and so many different cultures being put into our government, that our voices have to be heard differently. And I think it's wonderful. I think it's good. And I don't often sum up anything that will be good, but this is good. And Chewy agrees. Chewy says it will be progress. Yes, 100% Chewy. And Chewy, you know what? I appreciate you coming on and talking with us. If you would give us your email or a way to contact you, I will tell you my email. Here it is. I'll put it up on, let's see. I have to find it. It's on this. Here it is. info@truthtohear.org, Chewy. If you email me and let me know, I will send you some merchandise. It could be a t-shirt, a hat, a canvas tote, or a cup, a mug. Let me know what you would like, Chewy, and I will get that out to you. Brandy, it's been a great conversation.
As
Um,
always.
as always, I missed you last week. I'm glad you're here today. Um,
Thank you.
and I look forward to changing the topic a little bit, to getting off of COVID, getting off of politics, and changing into some other stuff, that areas that affect our society. Um, the prison system. I just really want to talk about the prison system. Um, and Chewy, oh, thank you, Chewy. Chewy says that he should have joined the scope earlier, like that stuff. We do too, Chewy, and we try to be fair. Here we try to get both sides of the fence, so it's not going to, but allowing people to have difference of opinions and coming out strong on the other side. So thank you for joining us. You can join us every week on Tuesday. We are here at 2:00 p.m. every week at Truth Talk. And for the rest of the week, let's see what we have, Brandy, because we have a lineup. And so tomorrow, I'm having a conversation with Maria Pereza. She is the founder of Social Media Shows Network. So anyone listening that wants to know how to get your insight, your skill set, anything you want to say out on social media, she's going to give you that 411. And then Thursday, we're going to talk about the Church of Sardis. The church, well, it's a sad church. They knew the Lord, but they forgot about him. They were known for their great works, but they did not have Jesus in their midst. And then Friday will be a personal message from me to you. I don't know what that message is yet, but we'll get it before Friday. Brandy, thank you for joining us. Have a good week. Oh, wait a minute. Chewy, maybe you should join us next week. He says it's terrible. The prison system locking up and ruining people's lives over BS. And the for-profit prison should be abolished. Chewy, I agree. And that's one thing that the President Biden is doing. He is actually, and I didn't bring it up because I was going to save it for next week, but he is actually changing the way the private prisons work. Because, private prisons, they get paid by the numbers of people they lock up. And so President Biden is actually changing the way private prisons work to try to get away from that. So we're gonna see how the changes are gonna come, and we're gonna highlight some people. If you know anyone that is dealing with the prison system, I'm gonna try to get some people that I know to come and join us. Chewy, if you'd like to be a guest on our show next week and talk about the prison system, we'd love to have you. Just email me and let me know.
Yeah.
Yes, and Chewy says good. He hopes that President Biden follows through with it. So do we, because the prison system is one of the worst atrocities that we have here in America, and we have to highlight it. We have to pinpoint what's going on. So next week, until next week, we'll see you, Brandy. Thank you again. We are out. Have a good week, everybody.